Is this the moment that finally forces the Yankees front office to face the harsh reality about their golden boy shortstop? We've just witnessed one of the most devastating blowout losses in recent memory, a humiliating 12-1 destruction at the hands of our biggest rivals, the Boston Red Sox. And right in the middle of this championship dream, turning into a complete nightmare, sits Anthony Volpe, the supposed future face of our franchise, who just committed his league-leading 17th error of the season. But here's where it gets absolutely shocking. Aaron Boone's post-game comments about this disaster reveal a level of denial that might actually be more dangerous to our playoff hopes than Volpe's struggles themselves. I'm about to break down the real truth behind these statements that could completely change how you view this entire season's trajectory. What's up, Yankees universe? Pinstripe Power coming in hot with another emergency deep dive for all you baseball junkies who refuse to accept mediocrity from our beloved Bronx Bombers. Hope you're all staying strong out there, keeping that championship faith alive and ready to face some brutal honesty about where we really stand right now. How exactly did we get to the point where our manager is defending a player who's essentially becoming a liability in crucial games against division rivals? Drop your honest thoughts down in the comments right now, because I've been digging into the numbers and the psychology behind these decisions, and what I've discovered will absolutely change your perspective on this entire Anthony Volpe situation. Seriously, stick around until the end, because I'm about to reveal why Boone's latest statements might actually be a desperate attempt to protect something that's already broken beyond repair. Let's dive straight into the most concerning part of this entire situation. Anthony Volpe just had another nightmare performance in what should have been a statement game against the Red Sox. We're talking about a player who's hitting just 208 this season. That's not a slump anymore, folks. That's a full-blown crisis. And here's the kicker. He's 12 for 71 in August alone. Let that sink in for a moment. In one of the most crucial months of the baseball season, when championship teams separate themselves from the pretenders, our starting shortstop is performing at a level that would get most players sent down to AAA. But wait, it gets worse. That 17th error he committed against Boston. It ties his rookie season total, but here's the devastating part. He reached that number in 29 fewer games this year. We're not talking about a young player working through growing pains anymore. We're looking at someone who's actually regressing in his second season, which should be setting off every alarm bell in the Yankees organization. Now here's where Aaron Boone's response becomes absolutely fascinating from a psychological standpoint. When asked about Volpe's error, Boone said it was his first one in a few weeks and that he's been playing really well out there. But Yankees fans immediately called this out. Volpe had an error just the day before. Are we seriously supposed to believe that our manager isn't keeping track of his starting shortstop's defensive miscues during the most important stretch of the season? What do you think is really happening here? Is Boone genuinely not aware of Volpe's recent struggles, or is this a calculated attempt to protect a young player's confidence? Drop your theories in the comments, because this level of disconnect between reality and public statements is either concerning incompetence or strategic psychology. The numbers paint an even bleaker picture when you dig deeper. Volpe hasn't had a multi-hit game since August 1st, and he was hitless heading into Saturday's disaster. Meanwhile, the trade deadline acquisitions that were supposed to provide depth, Jose Caballero and Amed Rosario, are both significantly outperforming him. Caballero's hitting .235, which sounds mediocre until you realize that's 27 points higher than Volpe's season average. Rosario is absolutely crushing it at .289, showing exactly the kind of production the Yankees desperately need from the shortstop position. Here's the million-dollar question that nobody in the organization seems willing to ask. At what point does loyalty to a prospect become detrimental to championship aspirations? The Yankees are 1.5 games behind Boston for that crucial wildcard spot, and they've now lost 8 straight games to the Red Sox. 8 straight. When was the last time you saw such a dominant streak by our biggest rivals? But here's where Boone's comments become even more revealing. When asked if the Yankees are running out of time, his response was telling, "No, we're not running out of time, but if we don't do better, then it's going to fizzle out and we're not going to get to where we want to be." That's not exactly the confidence-inspiring leadership you want to hear when your team is struggling against winning opponents. The situational context makes this even more damaging. The Yankees are 1-8 against the Red Sox this season and 3-7 against the division-leading Blue Jays. These aren't just random losses. We're getting systematically dominated by the teams we need to beat to make the playoffs. And right in the middle of these crucial games, we have a shortstop who's performing like a replacement-level player. Now let's talk about something that might be even more concerning than Volpe's individual struggles. The Yankees dealt away Oswald Peraza to make room for the trade deadline acquisitions, essentially burning a bridge with a player who could have provided internal competition. This suggests the organization was so committed to the Volpe experiment that they eliminated alternative options rather than creating healthy competition for the position. Think about this from a team chemistry perspective. How do veteran players react when they see obvious upgrades available, but management continues to run out a struggling player due to prospect status rather than current performance? The Yankees have championship expectations every single year. That's not negotiable in this organization. Yet we're potentially sacrificing 2024 playoff positioning to protect the development curve of a player who might not even be part of the long-term solution. Here's something most analysts are completely missing about this situation. Volpe's struggles aren't just about individual statistics. They're symptomatic of a larger organizational philosophy that might be fundamentally flawed. When you prioritize potential over production during a competitive window, you're essentially gambling with championship opportunities that might not come around again. The advanced metrics tell an even more brutal story. Among qualified shortstops, Volpe ranks in the bottom tier in virtually every offensive category. His .274 on-base percentage is absolutely killing rally potential, and his .400 slugging percentage suggests he's not even providing the power upside. That might justify the defensive inconsistencies. What's your honest assessment of this situation? Are we witnessing a young player who needs more development time, or have we discovered that Anthony Volpe might not be the franchise cornerstone everyone hoped he would become? The comment section is about to get real interesting with this question, but here's where the story takes an even more intriguing turn. Aaron Boone's defensive posture around Volpe might actually be revealing something deeper about the organizational pressure he's facing. When managers start making statements that contradict observable reality, it usually indicates they're caught between performance demands and front office directives. The timing of these struggles couldn't be worse for the Yankees championship window. With an aging core and significant payroll commitments, every season represents a valuable opportunity that can't be recovered. Yet here we are, potentially watching a playoff race slip away while maintaining loyalty to a player who's actively hurting the team's chances. Let me ask you this. If Anthony Volpe were a veteran player putting up these exact same numbers, how long would he remain in the starting lineup? The answer is probably measured in weeks, not months. But because he carries the prospect pedigree and represents significant organizational investment, different standards seem to apply. The psychological impact on the rest of the team cannot be understated. When players see that performance isn't the primary factor in lineup decisions, it can create resentment and complacency. Championship teams demand accountability at every level, and exceptions based on potential rather than production can poison that culture. Here's the most frustrating part for Yankees fans. We have viable alternatives right now on the roster. Both Caballero and Rosario have shown they can provide superior offensive production, yet they're relegated to bench roles while Volpe continues to struggle in the spotlight. This isn't about giving up on young talent. It's about maximizing the team's championship potential during a competitive season. The Red Sox series perfectly encapsulated everything wrong with this approach. In games where every at-bat and every defensive play matters, the Yankees are voluntarily playing with a significant disadvantage at one of the most important positions on the field. That 12-1 loss wasn't just about one player, but Volpe's continued struggles certainly didn't help the team's chances of competing in a must-win situation. Yankees Universe, this is exactly the kind of honest analysis that separates real championship thinking from blind organizational loyalty. If you're tired of sugar-coated takes that ignore the obvious problems holding our team back from October, glory, make sure you're subscribed to Pinstripe Power with notifications turned on. We're not afraid to ask the tough questions that other Yankees content creators won't touch. What's your take on Aaron Boone's handling of the Anthony Volpe situation? Are you Team Volpe and believe he'll figure it out? Or do you think it's time to prioritize winning now over development projects? Drop your honest opinions in the comments below, because this community isn't afraid of real talk about what it takes to bring another championship to the Bronx. Hit that like button if you want more no-nonsense Yankees analysis that focuses on championship potential over prospect protection. The Pinstripe Power family is growing every day with fans who demand excellence from our beloved Bombers. Until next time, keep that championship faith alive, but never let loyalty blind us to what needs to change. This is Pinstripe Power, and we'll see you in the next deep dive into Yankees Universe.